Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil A. Cardona, and this is Nashville. Firstly, I want to make sure that every one of you is safe. Last night and in the early morning, Middle Tennessee experienced some pretty nasty storms. I, along with many of you, were woken up with phone alerts and sirens. We want to make sure that you're okay and if you're in need of anything. So call us at 615-760-2000 to let us know how you and your neighbors are doing right now. And we recently received a flash flood warning for Middle Tennessee, and as well as some other breaking news. FEMA announced that federal disaster assistance has been made available to the state of Tennessee to supplement response efforts in the areas affected by severe storms, straight-line winds, tornadoes, and flooding beginning on April 2nd and continuing. The assistance is for all 95 Tennessee counties. And if you're new to the area, severe weather is commonplace. Getting information is key, thanks to all of the news stations and community members like the folks behind Nashville Severe Weather for helping to keep us informed. And if you don't follow Nashville Severe Weather on the socials, do it right now. Now, as of now, the threat of tornadoes is low, but we're not in the clear. With the level of precipitation expected, we continue to have flash flood warnings. Joining us now with updates on the weather of the next few days is WPLN's Nina Cardona. Nina, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be back. Yeah. We had a fun topic yesterday. I didn't think I'd be back so soon.
We got you back. And I want to remind everybody that Nina is not a weather or climate expert. No. She's a phenomenal journalist and the host of Morning Edition and the Nashville Urger podcast. And she's been here since the early morning reporting on the weather. There's going to be more developing stories as the day and days go along. But with that, Nina, how are you doing?
Well, I mean, I've been better rested on other days, but this is the job. You come in, you find out what's going on, and you tell people about it. That's what I do.
That's right, and you're doing a phenomenal job at that. Can you recap what we just went through in the past 12 hours?
Well, we've just had this incredible line of storms that had just cell after cell after cell of kind of the same intensity of weather, which that's on the more unusual side. Usually, that's that first bit that hits us of the front is where the severe weather is. And we just had wave after wave as it just kind of kept skirting along, basically along the same path all morning long. Mm-hmm. And so, I was woken up by tornado warnings at home, and then as soon as there was a lull, I came into work. And then from then on, it's just these EAS red light of doom, I like to call it, that lets me know alerts coming in, just kept going off with tornado warnings for a while, and then came the flash flood warnings. And that's just this cascade of flash flood warnings, one after another, just kind of adding and adding and adding to the area that we are concerned about. Because, of course, all of these waterways are connected to each other. Mm-hmm. All of this rain, as it starts filling up, some they're flowing into each other, and it just keeps raising the water in more and more places and leading to that possibility of flash flooding all across, most of Middle Tennessee.
It's leading also raising the possibilities of anxiety growing within people.
Yes.
So what can folks expect for the next few days? What are you hearing?
Well, our real concern that we're seeing from the National Weather Service, and that just kind of makes sense with the warnings that we're getting, is it's flash flooding. And flash flooding, I'm just expecting is going to be a warning that keeps coming through for several days now, on and off, because the forecast does have rain into Sunday, on and off, not too long of rests. Tonight, actually, we do have a chance of severe thunderstorms. Again, severe thunderstorms mean we could have more tornado warnings. We could have more hail. We could get all of this again tonight.
Tonight.
I don't know for sure if it's going to be as strong. Like, as you said, I'm not a meteorologist, but we are looking quite frequently at what the National Weather Service is having to say, what the Nashville Severe Weather folks, from that separate organization are having to say, and just collecting all of their information. And everybody is agreeing that we've got a lot more of this coming to us. And the ground is already saturated. The creeks are full. The rivers are full. The lakes are full. Some of them are already overflowing. If you look at the TDOT SmartWay map right now, there are so many state highways all around Middle Tennessee that have spots that are covered with water. And we've already seen places like in Lipscomb, University area. The Lipscomb Academy football field was covered with water this morning. Some of the houses there's a creek near there. Some of the houses were inundated. In Belmead, there's a creek there. We're in a parking lot for a townhome community. The water was over the tires of the cars. So this is, and that's just where we're seeing pictures from. And the difficulty with the kind of storm like we had this morning and like we potentially could have tonight is when it happens at night, people aren't getting the videos to let us know for sure that there was a twister. People aren't sending the pictures because, you're just in your safe place at home and you can't see through your window. We don't know really for hours until after the sun has come up and people are getting up and going around and moving around. We're not really getting the reports to know just how much individual places are being impacted.
That's one of the major differences between nighttime storms in terms of damage reports and everything.
It makes them more deadly because people are sleeping through things.
Yeah.
And then not getting out and not getting to that safe place.
Okay.
And we have seen 2 confirmed deaths from TEMA with this storm, possibly 3. The Fayette County Sheriff is saying that he has confirmed a death and possibly has a couple more in that community. I think we're going to see more deaths and injuries potentially confirmed during the course of the day.
Okay. What are authorities saying about how people should be preparing for what's next? These potential Groundhog Days of doom we have.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is just that common sense. Make sure you know where to be safe. Make sure you take it seriously. The danger is warning fatigue, right? You get so many of these warnings, and you're just so tired, and you just want to sleep, and But there are so many options now for checking the radar, even whether it's just on your weather app or it's going to a TV station or it is paying attention to what the folks at Nashville Severe Weather are saying or going to the National Weather Service website. There are so many options. Check that radar and look at your neighborhood specifically and what that radar is showing. If there's angry red coming towards you, take it seriously.
These tornado warnings after tornado warnings, as you mentioned, they can be daunting and very, very scary. You were born and raised here.
Yeah.
Any advice on how to cope with the string of warnings and times in weather like this?
Well, the thing that gives me a little bit of comfort is that we tend to get the kind of storms here that are doing a lot of damage in an isolated area. And that gives me a weird kind of comfort that there's always going to be somebody like a mile away who can help you because they're not also affected. A tornado is horrible and awful and devastating on a narrow path. On a relatively narrow path compared to like a hurricane or an earthquake or something like that. We tend to get flash flooding, which is, again, very specific low-lying areas. Somebody will be close enough to help. That calms my anxiety and helps me like just be in the headspace of being more matter of fact about what is coming.
Moving to town, I heard a lot that you have to have a emergency kit available. Last night, going through the process, I realized my emergency kit is quite lacking. Do you have one?
No.
You don't have one.
I don't think a lot of natives do.
There may be a lot of Nashvillians who don't.
That doesn't mean that's smart of me.
In times like this, it might be really important to make sure that we all get up on our kits. We're going to try to get information on the right kind of kit and what you all need to have for that later on in today's show. But we also heard news of hail damage from last night's storm. What did you discover?
Oh, well, we're just seeing reports of hail just about everywhere. I mean, that is so widespread that at this point, we can't quite even get our arms around where all the hail was or how big it got to be. But I think the important takeaway from that is that a lot of people are going to be going out to their cars or realizing that there's a leak in the roof or something like that and realize that hail has done some damage to your car or to your house. And I just kind of did look up some tips for what to do in case of that. And, for any kind of storm damage, this is just good information. Take pictures, take video. Before you do anything, document it. Call your insurance company, whichever one, you're probably going to have to sit with them for a while. Most likely, we're going to see when we have these big events that have a lot of hail, we'll end up seeing kind of these remote stations where you can kind of go in a parking lot somewhere and just go through a drive-through of checking your hail damage. A lot of times some of the insurance companies will set that up for all of their clients. I expect that we had enough that we'll see that now. But when it's time to get repairs, especially with your house stuff, get multiple bids because there are people who do come in and are very predatory, taking advantage of the situation, and are just going to, leave you high and dry. So have your skeptical switch turned on, but do document everything, keep every receipt. And it's still early to see what all is going to be available to us from FEMA, since we have been declared to have the disaster declaration from the White House. But there's a possibility that there might be some reimbursement that's available for some of these things. So keep everything documented just in case that opens up for your county.
All right, this is Nashville, and it's your turn to talk. We want to hear how you are getting along after these storms and with these flash flood warnings that we're continuing to receive from the authorities. Give us a call, 615-760-2000. That's 615-760-2000. How can people mitigate damage from hail? I'm imagining cover your car with a blanket or a tarp. Does that work?
I don't know. I'm afraid I figured out what you do after hail.
Okay, we'll find out what you do. Well, maybe if someone out there knows, they can give us a call, and we'd love to hear that. Okay, so seeing that we're here with these storms, particularly with precipitation to run through Sunday.
Yeah.
As someone who's lived here, as someone who's reported on the news, again, you are not an expert. People may have plans for this weekend and trying to do things. What's your advice? How would you approach this weekend if you had plans and things that you wanted to?
I mean, just look around and see. The thing about flash flooding is it is very, very localized. Most places can be A-okay, and just these pockets are having a lot of trouble. So, look around and see if things are still going on in the place where you wanted to go. I know we're seeing a lot of, if you wanted to get out to a state park, it looks like Cedars of Lebanon is not the place to go this weekend. They have had some flooded roads and some storm damage there. And Google the place, see what people are saying on social media about that place. But you can go on ahead and live your life, but give yourself more time to get places. And 100%, wherever you are going, as you are out and about, if there is any water covering the road, don't drive on it.
Okay.
Because more people die from flash floods in Tennessee than from tornadoes.
Okay.
And a lot of time it's because they drove into the water.
All right.
And there's something in there you didn't know, or it's deeper than you thought.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Nina will be with us, and we'll be joined by Brenda Wynn, the Davidson County Clerk, and Jenn Harrman of Nashville Department of Waste Services to hear about the new services their departments are offering you. It's your turn to talk, so call us at 615-760-2000. We'll be right back.
We all experienced that intense weather overnight, and there's just something a little comforting about hearing Nina Cardona talk about it on the radio. Both the expertise, the empathy, just the experience of having been through it so many times in Middle Tennessee. I'm Tony Gonzalez, the news director here in our local newsroom. I'm on with Cindy Abrams, our Metro reporter. We were all experiencing that weather overnight, and it does show. The service provided by WPLN here this morning. Most obviously, the automated weather alerts that were keeping people informed overnight in real time as that weather came through. That's just one of the services, one of the roles that WPLN plays in a situation like this. And frankly, that's one of the roles that we're asking you to support now during our spring fundraising campaign, which has had a little bit of a disruption because of this weather, but we are asking you to support the vital service that is provided in moments like this.
Yeah, like Tony said, we all saw, I think, were woken up by those alerts last night that your dollars, your support does fund. But your dollars, your support, it funds other things too. The kind of behind the scenes work that often goes unseen or unappreciated. Our morning host, Nina Cardona, who we are listening to right now on This is Nashville, talk about the weather very eloquently. She came in about 2 hours early for her shift. She was at the station around 3 a.m. She's still here at noon. She drove in through the storm to get to work, to make sure she was reporting accurately, reading reports of what was going on out there. Tony, it was also up editing her from 3 to 6, making sure we were putting things out so that everybody could be informed, as, you know, like you or I was a little afraid in your home or your bed. And it's reliable news outlets like WPLN that provide a sense of solace in those moments that you can get accurate information. That's why we're one of the many reasons we're here today, asking for your support at WPLN.org.
It really does take a major team effort, and that team does include you, the listener. In a moment like this, we had new information on WPLN.org by 5 a.m. We had national NPR asking us what is the latest in Tennessee, and we were providing that information to them. Of course, now you're listening to This is Nashville, hearing updates here in the midday as this weather event has evolved. This is not the fun part of journalism. This is not the fun part of the job, but it is an essential one. And if you value it, if you value this service, we are asking you to give. You can make a contribution at WPLN.org, or you can call in 615-760-2010.
It's really a great time to give right now, I would say, not only because we've got our weather reporting chops on display, but also because we've got a match going. It's from a very special Ann and Carl here in Nashville. And we've got a $2,500 match for all gifts, match $1 for $1. That means that if you head to WPLN.org and hit that Give Now button right now, the amount you're able to support us today is twice as much. It's not twice as much from your bank account, but it is twice as much for us. Please head to WPLN.org, hit that Give Now button. Thank you.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from Burr and Foreman Law Firm, serving clients with transactional, litigation, and regulatory needs. Discovering how each client defines a win and working with them every step of the way to achieve it. Burr.com. Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Kaliole Kulona, and this is Nashville. All right, it's a wild Thursday. Nina Cardona is here with us to keep us updated on any new severe weather alerts. And we're adding two new voices to the conversation. Brenda Wynn, the Davidson County Clerk and former guest of the show, and Jenn Harrman, the Administrative Services Manager for the Nashville Department of Waste Services. Brenda and Jenn, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for doing this.
Of course. That's what we do. Okay, everybody. Now, before the break, we asked the question, how to mitigate any hail damage. And this is Nashville first, potentially a WPLN first. We got an answer from artificial intelligence. AI says to protect your car from hail damage, prioritize seeking covered parking like a garage or carport. And if that's not possible, consider using a hail-resistant car cover, blankets, or floor mats to cushion the impact. There you go. AI is serving us all well at the time being. Okay, so it's your turn to talk. And if you want to talk, you might talk about last night or the severe weather coming up this weekend. Or if you have questions for our guests, please give us a call. 615-760. That's 615-760-2000. 615-760-2000. But first, Brenda and Jenn, I got to see, how are you both doing? How did you get through last night?
I grew up in St. Louis. I grew up in Tornado Alley. And so every time these come through, I think we were talking earlier, these storms come at night, and that's just, it's frustrating and it's scary. And even though I'm used to it, I don't have a basement here. And so, yeah, doing okay. Luckily, everybody in my area was safe, but still have the helmets in the bathroom ready to go.
Helmets in the bathroom. And you have quite a drive to come through to get to here, right?
I'm actually over in East Nashville, Inglewood area. So I'm thankful I don't have to get on major interstates. And I have options of how to get around flooded streets. Very cautious of any of that puddling that's going on out there.
All right. Brenda, how was your night last night?
I'm a little sleep deprived this morning. I nodded out probably around 10 last night and woke up when I heard it raining and then nodded back out. But at about 1:30, I was up and awake because it was raining a lot harder. And then shortly after that, I started to get the warning notices on my phone. I could hear the sirens. I live up in Goodlettsville, and they have done a great job of upgrading the sirens there so that we can hear them. I've been around Nashville and have been here when most of the tornadoes have come through. I have a basement, and I should take advantage of it more often. So I spent the morning watching news and just trying to keep myself apprised of what was going on. Said a few prayers for our city and all of us who are here, and just hoping that everybody was safe.
Do you both have severe weather kits ready to go?
I don't. We heard that, and my question was, well, what's in it? So I'm just going to go to the basement as quickly as I can.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't formally have one, but I have all the go-to things. We go and collect everything, the helmets, the flashlights, we had gloves, made sure you had shoes, get all of my valuables. I just got my passport renewed, so I grabbed my passport, make sure that was safe, dog leashes and things like that. But certainly, like, food and water is probably an essential that I do not necessarily grab.
I think we're 0 for 4 on this panel right here as far as having our kits ready, and that's something potentially will change. All right, now on to the order of business of why you're both here. In Davidson County, you can renew your vehicle registration and obtain a business license for your $1 million idea at the Davidson County Clerk's office. But, Brenda, what services do the Davidson County Clerk's office provide that can be done online for people?
You can renew your motor vehicle registration online through our website. You can actually get a sticker to renew your motor vehicle at a kiosk around the city. There are 13 kiosks around Davidson County where you can walk up to that kiosk, scan your last registration, pay with a credit or debit card, and walk away with your sticker. It takes at most about 60 seconds to get that done. Our challenge in the clerk's office is that we have not been able to get the word out as quickly as we should. Yesterday, I took my husband to a doctor's appointment, and so I ended up getting home a little bit early. At about 3:30, I got a text message from a young man who serves in elected office, and it was a picture of the kiosk that we have at our Madison location. He said, "This was great and a great time-saving tool. I've got to get anybody in Nashville who needs to renew to understand and to know that you can go to any of 11 locations around the city, 13 kiosks at 11 locations, and renew your car registration. If you're registering your car for the first time, you have to come into our location, but you can go to our website and get an appointment. Now, we didn't advertise those appointments, but they fill up so quickly. And at some point in time in the very near future, we're going to try to introduce a queuing system so that you can get in line before you get there. This past Monday, we had in excess of 900 people through the doors at our main office. And what that means is that the line was long all day long. And so we want to try to do a better job of getting people in line before they get there so that they don't have to stand in line for an hour or more. So.
Now, where can people go to find the location of the 13 kiosks that are around the city? They're on
our website, www.nashvilleclerk.com. Go there. And you can find the location of all 13 of the kiosks. 2 are at our Madison branch, and 2 are at our south location. One is inside, so that if you're in and if you come up and use the one that's outside, there's one that's outside 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at both the Madison and the south locations. But if you get there and you want to come inside, you can use the one inside too. So we have 2 at those locations. But all around the city, Grace's Plaza at our Green Hills location, at our main branch, Howard office building. We have one at the Bordeaux Library. So anybody in Bordeaux who needs to renew, and you can do that anytime the library is open, most often 7 days a week. We have one at, so I said South, Madison, Maine, Bordeaux, East Nashville Library is where you can get it. And I will stop and but you can go to our website and find all the locations.
Now, you mentioned that we have to go for new vehicle registrations. You have to come into the office to handle that process. What else do people have to come into the office to handle?
Well, if you can apply for a marriage license online. through our online application process. But in order to get the license, you do have to come in and produce certain documents, prove that you are who you say you are. You have to bring in some identification. You have to come in the office to get your notary commission. We process all the notary applications on behalf of the state of Tennessee. But once you are approved to get your notary, you have to come in and get your bond and take your oath. You have to come in for, again, if you're new to state and you're registering your motor vehicle for the first time, you have to come in for marriage and notary. And sometimes you have to come in to get issues resolved with respect to your business license.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so once someone moves here from a different state, how long do they have to register their car?
Well, the law says 30 days.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. You all heard it here. You heard it here. When's the best time to visit the county clerk's office?
It is not the lunch hour. And I laugh when I say that because typically what happens in our office is that we start the day out with people in line. People line up to come in our offices, and they're normally outside when we get there. They come in, we serve them, and there is a lull between 8:45 and about 10:30. So if you are not busy between 8:45 and about 10:30, come to our office. You can get in and out in a matter of just a few minutes or just as long as it takes to get your transaction processed. Typically, once the lunch hour starts at about 11, because we have state laws that require us to let people go to lunch. So we start lunches at 11, and our lunches go until 3 o'clock. Because we have so many people to get through that process. At some point in time during the day, our morning breaks, lunch hours, and afternoon breaks collide. And we end up with not as many people on the line because people are taking their breaks, getting their lunch done. But if you come in during the lunch hour, understand, and we appreciate your patience, and most people really are patient with us, that typically the lunch hours when most people can come, and I get that. But our struggle is just managing the flow of people. So we hope that with our new queuing system, we can tee people up to serve them and let them know that if you get in line before you get here, we can serve you when you get here.
That's a really great system that you all are developing. And I'm interested because Americans, let's just be honest, we really don't like waiting in line for very long, particularly at someplace like the county clerk's office or the DMV. What do you advise people on how to behave when they're dealing with the people you're working with after they've been in line for a while?
Please be patient with us. We are doing the very best we can. The people who serve you are there all day from our hours are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We shut down the office at 4:20. We try to shut down. We lock the doors at 4:20 so that we can complete serving the people who are in line, and then so that our clerks can balance out at the end of the day, and so that they can leave at 4:30. We require them to be in their seats, inventory checked, petty cash in hand, ready to start at 8 o'clock. What that means is that they got to get in the doors a few minutes before 8 o'clock. And so if they have to be there a few minutes before 8 o'clock, we want them to be able to go home at 4:30. So pack your patience. Just know that these folks will do everything they can to serve you. And it is always our goal to do what we can to make sure we can serve you as best we can. If we can make something work, and we will make things work. We had a guy in there the other day, bought a car in Kentucky, and the dealership couldn't get the right check to us. His temp tag had expired, and law says that we can, if we want to, or not if we want to, but sometimes it says you can't provide another temp tag. But we made the decision to provide this gentleman with a temp tag until he can get the issues worked out with his dealership.
That's wonderful. It shows you how far that the Davidson County Clerk's Office will go to help service you. Okay, we're going to take one last break. When we come back, we'll learn about the Zero Waste Plan at Metro Nashville Waste Services and the city's curbside composting pilot program. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Hey, I'm Cindy Abrams, in with news director Tony Gonzalez for our spring fund drive. And I love hearing Kelly talk about how WPLN provides so many different ways to stay up to date on the news. I think this morning was a fantastic example of that as the storms came in. We had weather updates on the web very early. We had newscasts that started at 6 a.m. Our Nash Villager newsletter came out at 6:30 into people's email inboxes. Our Nash Villager podcast came out around then as well on wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We've got This is Nashville on right now, live midday radio, talking about the weather. So we really are kind of cross-platform, trying to meet you where you're at. Wherever it's most convenient for you to get your news, that is where we want to be. That is also why we are looking for support to continue to do so. At WPLN.org, you can hit that Give Now button. Tell us what your favorite way to consume the news is. We will continue to work to put the news there.
You know, it's really not just funding a radio signal anymore. It is. There are a lot of moving pieces to a media org like WPLN. So Cindy's talking about meeting you where you are. Let me tell you about someone who is meeting you, the listener, where you are. Ann and Carl in Nashville have put up an additional generous gift of $2,500 in matching money. So they are meeting you where you are with your contribution this hour. All contributions will be doubled. That's thanks to Ann and Carl in Nashville, who gave a generous additional gift to encourage you to give now and to move us toward our fundraising goal. I want to thank Chris in Nashville and Erica, also in Nashville, who have given in the last few minutes and saw their dollars doubled thanks to the matching money. We so appreciate it. It is a great time to give for all of the reasons that Cindy mentioned and because this matching money is on the table.
That match is such a great opportunity to take advantage of, especially as we are trying to race towards our goal. We still have about $83,000 to raise by day's end tomorrow. We are also trying to play a little game of catch up after pausing our fundraising this morning in light of the storms. It's kind of just the name of the game, but it has set us back a bit. And so we are working and asking for your support at WPLN.org. Hit that Give Now button. Want to shout out some people who did just that. Stephanie in Mount Juliet, Cherry or Sherry, great spelling, and David in Madison, Tracy in Franklin. Thank you so much for showing your support. Please give us a call, 615-760-2010.
If you're looking around for, what is the right giving amount, I want to make a suggestion for you. Well, first off, any giving amount is great. And if it fits in your budget, that's what you should give. And know that it's going to be matched and doubled right now. But I want to suggest $25 a month. I'm suggesting that because when you give at that level, you can come to our super fan lunch. This will include witnessing a live taping of This is Nashville, the show you're listening to now. You'll be able to maybe shake the hand of a guest on that day. It's coming up April 22nd. So you attend the live taping, followed immediately by lunch here in Nashville Public Radio in our Sonic Cathedral with some of the reporters, producers, editors to have a little bit of behind-the-scenes conversation. So $25 a month. Get in on the Super Fan Lunch. Make your contribution at WPLN.org.
I'm Khalil A. Colonna, and this is Nashville. I'm here with Nina Cardona, who is keeping us updated on any new severe weather alerts, as well as Brenda Wynn, the Davidson County Clerk, and Jenn Harrman, the Administrative Services Manager for the Nashville Department of Waste Services. And it's your turn to talk if you want to talk about your night last night, the severe weather coming up this weekend, or if you have questions about vehicle registration or composting in our city, give us a call, 615-760-2000, 615-760-2000, because it's your turn to talk. Now, I want to tell you all a little bit about me. When I'm cooking, which is pretty often, I feel a bit of guilt when I throw away perishable food items. A banana peel, core of an apple, stalks from kale. I say to myself, Khalil, you should be composting. But I don't. And it's not that I don't want to. I just don't know where to go for help. So if you're like me, you're in luck. We have Jenn here with us to break it down. Jenn, okay, tell us, your department has this goal of zero waste. What does that mean?
So zero waste really is all about how can we reduce, reuse, recycle, compost so that we're not relying on our landfills. We define it as 90% diversion of our waste materials from landfill, but that is a long-term goal that we have. And so it goes into what programs and what initiatives, what policies can we implement for the city to help us better manage our waste and not rely so heavily on those landfills.
So that the goal is 90%. Can I ask what percentage point are we at now?
Oh, goodness gracious. It's actually a very difficult number to kind of gather up in terms of the data that we're getting. But I will say that we're seeing about 12 or 13% of material we're recycling. And we're seeing 3 to 6% of material is being composted, but that's not an entire picture in terms of the data that we get that's self-reported. So we're looking to see if we can do more of a waste characterization study. We did one in 2017 to really understand what we're sending to landfill. And when we do that again, that'll help us be able to see, okay, what changes have happened since then and what materials can we target for increased diversion.
We started, but we're on our way.
We are, absolutely.
Okay, so what are some of the zero waste initiatives that you all are currently advancing?
We've been focusing a lot, as you talked about, compost. Our most recent program that we've enjoyed wonderful success from is our curbside food scraps pickup pilot program. That includes 750 Nashville households are able to get curbside collection of their food scraps. And that was a 1-year pilot that we were able to extend for another year. And we're looking to keep that going as well as we go into budget season and go into our next fiscal year with the goal to gather the data needed to understand how do we scale a curbside composting program to all of our service area. So that next step is a feasibility study to move that effort forward. In addition to composting, we're also looking at how can we do things like construction, demolition, diversion policy. There's a lot of construction that's been going on. We've seen that plateau a little bit, but it's still a lot of material and there's a lot of opportunity there. And there's a lot of opportunity with policy that we can advance diversion in that space.
From what I understand, there's currently 4 centers for the composting program: Antioch, Madison, East Nashville off of Trinity Lane, and the Omohundro Center just south of downtown on Lebanon Road. Are there plans to expand these centers?
So those are our convenience centers where we provide a variety of different disposal, recycling, and composting programs for residents. So hard to recycle items like a mattress you can bring to us. But we also have those compost drop-off programs at those locations. They are staffed and owned by Metro. So we are always looking at opportunities for us to expand our programs, especially all of those centers are on the east side of the county. We just acquired a piece of property out in the Bellevue area. That is, it's an old landfill. It's got the best name, Buzzard Hollow. But we're excited to be able to have that new piece of property and see how can we expand services to even more residents here in Nashville.
I have an old television in my trunk. It's been there for about 7 months. I can drop it off at one of these locations?
You absolutely can. There's no charge for electronics. And also electronics are banned from your trash containers because there can be hazardous materials in them. So please come to one of our convenience centers. We take electronics at the East Center, the Omohundro Center, and our Easel Pike. So Antioch, Omohundro, and then East is where we take those. Again, no charge for that. You can bring your broken holiday lights if you're one of those that have still kept your holiday lights up and haven't taken them down yet. We take string lights, things like that as well.
So break down this composting project, the pilot pickup project that you all did. I understand there were 750 households that are in the program now. How can someone join in to be in the program in the future?
So right now, as a data fact-finding mission, we are not expanding to new applicants at this time. We had over 2,600 people apply to be part of this program. So there is a lot of appetite for this program to expand. So that's why the feasibility study is really key. We want to be able to expand this in an equitable way for all the taxpayers in Davidson County that are getting our services. So once we get that feasibility study completed, that's when we'll be able to say, okay, how do we expand that and bring new people into this program? So until that happens, again, those drop-off centers, there's no charge to drop off your composting at any one of those convenience centers. We also, if you go to our website, wasteservices.nashville.gov, you can find resources for how to get started backyard composting at home. And in honor of Earth Month this month, we are giving away 8 free compost bins if you watch our Dirt on Composting webinar and take a little quiz. So check out our social media and we've got lots of resources for you.
Okay, so you're offering these throughout this contest and this giveaway of 8 compost bins. And it potentially answers a question that I had. Like, how should we be collecting our compost? Some people would use plastic bags, but I'm thinking that's kind of counterintuitive. Definitely don't want to drop them off in plastic bags. What are the best ways for composting for a true novice like myself?
If you want to use a plastic bag, just don't compost that plastic bag. But the best way to do it, you can use a paper bag. And I know a lot of people, their favorite way to do is pop it in the freezer and collect it in the freezer. And then you can take it even in a Tupperware container and then just empty out your container. There are compostable bags out there. Just make sure that they are certified compostable. And those you can put the bag and your material right there directly into the drop-off composting bin. If you are composting in your backyard, you can use just any kind of you could use a coffee can. There's little countertop compost containers that you can get that have filters in them. You can put them in the plastic bags, the compostable plastic bags, but that might not break down in your backyard. So for that home composter, we'd encourage just some kind of container and then just dumping it right into your bin.
If you're composting in the backyard, I'm thinking automatically raccoons, possums show up to get a little bit of the goodies that you're going to compost. How do you mitigate against that?
So that's where, watch that Dirt on Composting video. It's really short. It's only 20 minutes. It gives you everything you need to know to get started composting. If you're doing it right, you're layering your food scraps with your brown leaves, other what they call browns, so dry material that's rich in carbon, and you layer that, and when you layer it, it doesn't attract all those critters. We also, though, if you're especially in the urban areas of Davidson County, we really encourage you to get a bin as opposed to just having an open pile. You can have an open pile, it will compost, but that could potentially bring some critters because they can dig through it more easily. But our compost bins that we're giving away are made from recycled plastic. They are nice and contained, and you're not going to have those kind of problems if you're doing it right.
Real quick, what do people most misunderstand about composting?
So the biggest thing folks misunderstand is the difference between composting and landfilling, because you're both essentially putting your food scraps back in the ground. Except when you put your food scraps and other organic materials in a landfill, it doesn't break down the same way it does in the natural environment. And composting is really a natural process. In the landfill, you're devoid of oxygen, and so you're going to create methane gas and other harmful pollutants when that material breaks down, which doesn't happen when you're composting. So they're very different. Composting doesn't have that environmental impact that landfilling organics does.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, Nina, I understand you have some breaking news to share with us. What do you want to share?
Yeah, well, we just heard from the Nashville Office of Emergency Management that the outdoor tornado warning siren system last night had some problems, basically because so many warnings came through that some of those sirens, the batteries wore out.
Wow.
They ran out of power because they had to go off too many times. And so this is a reminder that the best way to stay safe in these storms is to have multiple ways of getting your messages. Do have the alerts enabled on your phone so they can wake you up. You know, have a local weather radio, have weather apps ready. Don't just rely on the sirens. They're great to let you know if you're out and about and you haven't been paying attention, but you know, things go wrong with them sometimes. And so be sure to have multiple forms, because the electricity went out in some of these places, and then the batteries just got used up, and the sirens weren't able to keep going off while we kept getting so many warnings.
A lot of warnings out there. I just understand from my control room that there is a tornado warning also issued. We've got to pay. Tornado watch. Tornado watch. I know. There's a difference between watch and warning.
So conditions are ripe, but none have been seen.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. We're going to make sure that we stay on top of this.
And a flash flood warning for a big chunk of Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
And just keep thinking of it as if there's a flash flood warning wherever you are in Middle Tennessee throughout this weekend, because we're going to get so much rain. The chances are, if you're not under one right now, you're going to be under one soon. So just have that mindset.
Everyone out there listening, stay vigilant, stay tuned to WPLN or other news sources, and definitely, like I said at the top of the show, follow Nashville Severe Weather on all of the socials, Instagram, YouTube, and X. I want to thank my guests for being here for this show to inform us of everything. Nina Cardona, Brenda Wynn, the Davidson County Clerk, and Jenn Harrman, the Administrative Service Manager for Nashville Department of Waste Services. Thank you all for being with us. Be safe this weekend, okay?
Thank you. Can I just say quickly, I gave the wrong email address, countyclerk.nashville.gov. Countyclerk.nashville.gov.
All right, that's where you go to get all of the amazing kiosks that will help make your vehicle registration a snap of the fingers. All right, thanks to you all for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced masterfully with all the changes by Mary Mancini. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Lemley. Our board operators, Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are Larange and Namir Blade. You can listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get good podcasts. And the conversation does not end here. Comment and tell us what you want to hear on the show by leaving us a message at 615-751-2500. You can find us on the socials, Blue Sky, Instagram, and X at This Is Nashville. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil Ekolona. We'll see you on Monday, everybody. Be good to each other and be super safe, everyone.
I'm Tony Gonzalez, in with Cindy Abrams. When Kate talks about national stories and sort of that sense of pride, well, first off, we have had national news here in our state today. It's not good news. It's often not good news when a story is so prominent to go national. You've heard about the severe impacts of the weather, the ongoing flooding emergency here. That is a story that when it's being told on the national scale, but by local reporters, that's intentional. That's so that you get the on the ground or the close to on the ground reporting from people who know where they live. They know the communities. They've spent that night hearing the weather alerts and understanding the feeling that is in the air when news is happening like that. You heard Nina Cardona on national news this morning, as well as doing her local newscasting. You've also heard Mariana Bacallao more than once this week doing national reporting from the Tennessee State House. We do take pride in telling these stories, these local stories, to the nation, and we're asking you to support all of that. Your dollars support the local newsroom, and they support the national programming that you rely on here on 90.3. You can support all of that at WPLN.org.
Yeah, like Tony said, a lot of timely, relevant, quick turn, important stories being told this week by WPLN reporters. We also have some longer form projects that we are really proud of that our reporters have done on a national level. I'm thinking about Maribel Knight's podcasts, Supermajority on NPR, The Kids of Rutherford County with the New York Times. We've got Paige Flager's work with ProPublica. Those are our reporters telling stories about our Middle Tennessee community to the entire country. They're doing work that is about you, about your lives, and bringing that to all nationwide. I think that is something that I really value, that our stories are being broadcast to such a wide listenership. And that is something that your support funds and makes possible.
Yeah, it's true. And, it kind of goes both ways. We can tell national NPR or these other partners what we're working on, and sometimes they come calling for us. They came calling for me last night around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., wanting to know if we were on top of the weather developments. And we were. And we were, just like you, we were up and we were trying to figure out what was going on so that we could report that with accuracy. You can support that with a contribution now at WPLN.org.
There is truly no better time to support than literally right now.
Why is that?
Because of our match. thank you, Ann and Carl here in Nashville. We are so grateful to you for establishing a match, which is up to $2,500. If you head to whoever is listening, shouting out to the void, head to WPLN.org right now, hit that Give Now button. Whatever amount is possible for you to give, it will mean twice as much to us here at WPLN. If it is a $5 gift, that suddenly becomes $10. If it is a $100 gift, that becomes $200. Whatever it is, we are so grateful for it, and we are urging you to do so.
In fact, thanks to Lindsay in Nashville, who took advantage of it and mentioned a little comment. Thanks for the matching gift. Lindsay was moved to give. We're asking you to take advantage of this as well. It all goes toward our large fundraising goal for this week, our spring campaign. We have $81,000 to raise by the end of the day tomorrow. That's a big number. That would be a huge number for any one person, but that's not how this works. It works one contribution at a time, and it works with things like matching dollars that dedicated listeners are putting up for you to take advantage of. Take advantage of the match right now. Give in support of This Is Nashville, of the weather coverage of all that we do by giving at WPLN.org.
We want to say thank you for whatever it is that you are able to give. Just one little hint that if you give $20 a month, you can pick from any of our thank you gifts. There's a water bottle, a tote bag, a t-shirt, your pick. Whatever it is, head to WPLN.org. Give today. Thank you.